Something happened to children between 2012 and 2015. Rates of depression among teenagers suddenly spiked. Anxiety disorders surged. Self-harm among girls tripled in some countries. Suicide rates climbed in ways not seen for decades. And it wasn't just one country. It happened across the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and much of Europe, all at roughly the same time. What changed? In 2012, the majority of American teenagers got their first smartphone. By 2015, social media was everywhere. And childhood, as it had existed for thousands of years, was fundamentally and irreversibly rewired. That is the argument at the heart of The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Today we break down the 10 most important lessons from this book. Lessons that every parent, teacher, and young person needs to understand. Lesson 1. The Great Rewiring of Childhood. Jonathan Haidt argues that childhood in the developed world underwent a fundamental transformation between 2010 and 2015. He calls it the Great Rewiring. For most of human history, children learned by doing, by playing outside, taking risks, navigating conflict, experiencing failure. The smartphone and social media ended all of that. Suddenly, children were spending 4, 6, even 8 hours a day on their phones. Not in the real world, but in a virtual one designed to be as addictive as possible. Haidt identifies 2 simultaneous failures of modern parenting: overprotecting children in the real world and underprotecting them online. The result? A generation raised in a cotton wool real world and thrown naked into a digital one. Lesson 2. The 4 foundational harms of phone-based childhood. Haidt identifies 4 specific mechanisms through which smartphones are damaging the developing brain. Harm 1. Social deprivation. Phones replace face-to-face interaction, which is essential for developing empathy, reading social cues, and forming deep relationships. Harm 2. Sleep deprivation. Screens at bedtime devastate sleep quality. Teens who use phones before bed get on average 1 hour less sleep. Harm 3. Attention fragmentation. Constant notifications, infinite scroll, algorithmic feeds train the brain to crave stimulation and become incapable of sustained focus. Harm 4. Addiction. Social media platforms are engineered to exploit the brain's reward system. The variable reward of likes and comments triggers the same dopamine patterns as slot machines. These 4 harms compound each other, and they are not side effects. They are the intended design. Lesson 3. Girls are being hit hardest, and here's why. One of the most striking findings in the book is the gender disparity. Between 2010 and 2020, rates of depression among teenage girls increased by over 150% in the United States. Rates of self-harm among girls aged 10 to 14 tripled in the United Kingdom. Why are girls so much more affected than boys? Haidt points to the nature of platforms predominantly used by girls: Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, which center on appearance, social comparison, and public performance of identity. Girls are evolutionarily wired to be sensitive to social inclusion and exclusion. Social media weaponizes this sensitivity, creating a relentless environment of comparison and status anxiety that operates 24 hours a day, with no escape. It is not just that girls use their phones more. It is that the specific content they consume is uniquely damaging to the developing female identity. Lesson 4. Boys are struggling differently, but just as seriously. While girls bear the heaviest mental health burden, Haidt is equally concerned about boys. Boys have retreated from the real world into virtual ones. Video games and online communities have become substitute environments for the challenge, risk, and social bonding that boys historically found in outdoor play and physical adventure. The result? Boys are failing to develop the competence, confidence, and resilience that come from real-world struggle. They are falling behind academically, withdrawing from social and romantic relationships, and increasingly without purpose or direction. Haidt calls this a crisis of male development, one that receives far less attention than the female mental health crisis, but is no less serious. Boys need challenge, risk, and real-world struggle to develop. The virtual world robs them of all three. Lesson 5. Safetyism is making children weaker, not safer. One of Haidt's most provocative arguments is his critique of modern parenting. He calls it safetyism. Since the 1990s, Western parents have been progressively more protective, removing risk, supervising play, preventing failure, shielding children from anything uncomfortable. The intention is good. The effect is the opposite of what was intended. Haidt draws on a powerful analogy from immunology. The immune system must be exposed to germs to develop properly. A child raised in a completely sterile environment doesn't develop a strong immune system. They develop a fragile one. The same principle applies to psychological development. Children who are never allowed to experience failure, conflict, fear, or boredom never develop the psychological immune system to handle them. Safetyism produces exactly what it is trying to prevent. Vulnerable, anxious young people who struggle to cope with the ordinary challenges of adult life. Lesson 6. Children are antifragile. They need struggle to grow. Haidt introduces the concept of antifragility. Fragile things break under pressure. Robust things survive it. But antifragile things get stronger from it. Children are by nature antifragile. Every stumble on the playground, every argument with a friend, every moment of boredom that requires creativity. These are not threats to a child's development. They are the mechanism of it. Just as muscles only grow when they are stressed, and trees only develop strong roots when exposed to wind, children only develop resilience through real-world difficulty. Stop trying to remove all struggle from a child's life. Appropriate challenge, supervised risk, and the freedom to fail are not dangers. They are necessities. Lesson 7. Free, unsupervised play is not optional. It is essential. One of Haidt's most urgent calls to action concerns the near disappearance of something previous generations took for granted. Free, unsupervised outdoor play. In 1970, most children in the developed world walked to school alone, played outside unsupervised after school, had large amounts of unstructured free time. By 2010, almost none of them did. Free play is how children learn to manage risk, negotiate with peers, regulate their emotions, develop creativity, build confidence. It cannot be replicated in a structured activity, a supervised playdate or a video game. Every hour of free, unsupervised outdoor play is an investment in psychological development that cannot be made any other way. Lesson 8. Ages 9 to 15 are a critical window, and we're wasting it. Haidt draws on developmental neuroscience to identify what he calls the sensitive period for cultural and social learning, roughly ages 9 to 15. During this window, the brain is unusually plastic and receptive. The identities, habits, and social patterns formed in these years have an outsized and lasting effect on who a person becomes. Historically, this period was spent in the real world, in peer groups, in nature, in unstructured exploration of the self. Today, it is spent overwhelmingly on phones. The algorithms children encounter during these critical years are not neutral. They are optimized for engagement, which means they systematically amplify outrage, comparison, and anxiety, because these emotions drive the most clicks. We are allowing corporations to program the minds of children during the most formative period of their entire lives. Lesson 9. The 4 reforms that can fix this. Haidt is not simply sounding an alarm. He offers 4 concrete, actionable reforms. Reform 1. No smartphones before high school. Children under 14 do not have the emotional or cognitive development to navigate the social pressures of social media. They should not be there. Reform 2. No social media before age 16. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat require a level of psychological maturity that most 12 or 13-year-olds simply do not have. Reform 3. Phone-free schools. Research shows students learn better, socialize more, and feel happier in phone-free school environments. Reform 4. More unsupervised outdoor play and independence. Give children time without screens, without structure, and without adult supervision. Give it to them. None of these reforms are radical. All of them require collective action, because no single parent can fix this alone. Lesson 10. This is not just about phones. It's about what childhood is for. The deepest lesson of the anxious generation is not really about smartphones at all. It is about what childhood is for. Childhood is not a waiting room for adulthood. It is the period during which a human being develops the emotional, social, and psychological tools that will determine the quality of their entire life. Those tools are built through play, through struggle, through risk, failure, friendship, boredom, and the slow, patient experience of finding out who you are. Screens cannot give children any of that. And every hour spent in a virtual world engineered for profit is an hour stolen from the real developmental work of being young. We created this. We allowed it. And only a collective decision to change it will fix it. The question is not whether we can give children their childhood back. The question is whether we will choose to. Let's recap the 10 lessons from the anxious generation. 1. The Great Rewiring transformed childhood. Smartphones replaced real-world development. 2. 4 foundational harms: social deprivation, sleep loss, attention fragmentation, and addiction. 3. Girls are hit hardest. Social comparison and identity performance cause unique damage. 4. Boys are struggling differently, retreating into virtual worlds and losing real-world purpose. 5. Safetyism has made children more fragile, not less. Protection from struggle backfires. 6. Children are antifragile. They need struggle, risk, and failure to grow strong. 7. Free unsupervised play is not optional. It is the primary mechanism of child development. 8. Ages 9 to 15 are a critical window, and corporations are programming it. 9. 4 reforms. No phones before high school. No social media before 16. Phone-free schools. More free play. 10. This is about what childhood is for, and we must choose to give it back. The Anxious Generation is one of the most important books written in the last decade. Not because it makes us feel good, but because it tells us the truth. And the truth, uncomfortable as it is the only place where change begins. If this video reached you, share it. Share it with a parent, a teacher, a school administrator, and subscribe. We break down one important book every single week. Drop a comment below. What age did you get your first smartphone? See you in the next one.